Well, hello everybody and welcome to Jeff's Baking Blog. Today I'm going to make some chewy brownie cookies. So this is a recipe which I saw Anna Olsen make, and I varied it just a little bit, but it looked very good and very simple, so I thought, well, I'll give those a try. I apologise for my voice, I'm getting over a bit of a cold or something like that. So, as I said, it's a very easy recipe, and I'll go straight on to the ingredients. And for this I have 240 grams, which is 8.5 ounces, about 1 1/4 cups plus 2 tablespoons of dark chocolate. I have 60 grams, 1/4 cup plus a teaspoon of unsalted butter. I have 2 medium eggs, which would be large in the USA. 100 grams, 1/2 cup of caster sugar, 100 grams, 1/2 cup of light brown sugar, 5 millilitres, 1 teaspoon of vanilla extract, 75 grams, 1/2 cup, based on scooping packed flour into a 250 millilitre cup of plain flour, 30 grams, about 1/4 cup of cocoa powder, 1 gram, 1/4 teaspoon of baking powder, 1.5 grams, 1/4 teaspoon of salt, and here I have 90 grams, which is 1/2 cup, of a mixture of chocolate chips with some little toffee pieces. This was actually a Dr. Oetker mix that I can buy, but you can put whatever you want in. You can put some chocolate chips in, you can put some nuts or some toffee pieces, about 1/2 cup of them. And the first thing we need to do is to melt the butter and the chocolate, the dark chocolate, and stir it together until it's a nice smooth mixture. And I'm going to melt that on a very gentle heat, but you can do it, you can put it in a bowl and do it in a microwave, you can put it in a bain-marie, however you want to melt it basically. But I would do that and get that melted and set aside before we go on to anything else. So I have melted my chocolate, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to put the eggs and my 2 sugars into a large bowl, and I'm going to whisk those with my hand mixer. Now you can whisk them by hand. This is a very simple recipe, it doesn't need a hand mixer, but just for ease I'm doing it with the hand mixer. I want to get those well whisked together. And I'm going to add in the vanilla and give that a quick whisk as well. And then I'm going to pour in the chocolate and whisk that in. The chocolate and the butter, should I say. And that's good enough. And I've scraped the bowl down just to make sure that I've got that combined quite nicely. And then I'm going to put my flour the salt, the baking powder and the cocoa powder into a sieve. I'm going to sift those onto that chocolate mixture, and the main reason for sifting is because the cocoa powder has a tendency to be very clumpy. We want that broken down and mixed through. That's good enough. And then I'm going to stir that to get everything combined. And with that mixed through, I'm going to add in my chocolate chips and the toffee pieces and such like, and I'm going to stir those to get those distributed. And that's good enough, and that's ready to go on to some baking trays. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to leave that for a few minutes while I preheat my oven to 190 degrees Celsius, 170 Celsius with a fan, 375 Fahrenheit, and I'll prepare a couple of baking trays with parchment paper or silicone mats. And at that stage, once the oven is almost at temperature, we can scoop this out onto the baking trays ready for baking. And with the oven preheating and my dough thickening up a little bit, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take about 33 grams of the dough, and I'll show you how much that looks like. And that is a heaped dessert spoon basically. I'm going to put that onto my baking tray, and I'm going to do the same with the remainder. And I'm actually going to have to use 3 trays, I think, because these will spread out a little bit. But I'll do 8 on each of 2 trays and bake those, and then I'll do the remainder. So I've scooped out 18 mounds of 33 grams, and I'm going to put those into the oven, and I'm going to bake them for between 8 and 10 minutes. They'll flatten out, and they should crack on the top, and they'll be very, very soft. So they need to come out of the oven and be left on the baking trays to cool. And as they cool down, I'll bake the other 8. And then once they've cooled, I'll put them onto a wire rack and I'll come back and show you the results. I baked the chewy brownie cookies for 8 minutes, and they did flatten out a little bit. I could have flattened them a little bit more when I put them on the baking tray, but they flattened out a little bit. And I took them out of the oven. I actually left them in for 10 minutes. Then I took them out of the oven and allowed them to cool down. I baked the other 8, and this is what they look like. So they've baked up quite nicely, and they've cracked a little bit, as you can see, on the top. And they look quite good. So I've had a taste of one here, but I'll just have another taste of it. Nice and crisp on the outside and soft and chewy in the centre. Lovely and chocolatey as well. So these are very, very good, very easy to make. And that's going to be it for this recipe. I hope you've enjoyed it, and if you have, please give me a thumbs up below and click to subscribe to my YouTube channel. In the top right hand corner of the screen there'll be an eye that you can click on, and that will take you to a link for the recipe, and I'll put a link below the video as well. And I'll be back with another recipe in the very near future. So until then, happy baking.